to Shy Comic Girl. I'm so excited to be here with Jason Brodnick, who is the creator of Little Giant Comic Show. Thanks so much for
my pleasure.
chatting with me today. So first, before we kind of dive into how you created everything here, which is so amazing, I've been walking around and my mind is like blown by all of the books here. But tell me a little bit about how you got into comics and, you know, how your love for it started.
I shouldn't say always, I started collecting, I guess when I was about 10. And I loved comics. Was a big collector most of my life. And fast forward to, I think it was 2013, I hurt my back.
Okay.
And I was just miserable and depressed and hardly able to move. I was getting shots in my back and consultations with surgeons, and it was a mess. It was a mess. But my wife, to cheer me up, took me to this yard sale event here at the arena. And I walked in, and it was like Valhalla, you know, horns blowing. I was like, oh man, this is great. And I remember talking to the gentleman that runs the arena. And I asked him about it, and he said, look, we only do dry floor events 3 months out of the year. And vendors get right of first refusal. So, you know, it might take a while for a spot to open up, but I'll take your name. And he wrote my name down. I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
5 years go by. And
Oh, wow. So like a really long
legit
time span.
5 years. And I get a phone call. It was like the end of January. He said, I got one date. It's April, third week of April. I was like, I'll take it. I had no idea what I was going to do. But I knew.
So at that point, you didn't have like an idea for the show?
I had an idea of what I would like to attend as a comic collector.
Okay.
But I didn't really know how to put together a show.
Yeah.
I mean, who knew? So what I did was I reached out to people I have either done business with or had a tremendous amount of respect for.
Oh, I love
and
that.
I wanted the vibe in the room to just, you know, really be good. That's what was important to me. It wasn't about the money. So I made the booth cost low, $100 a booth. The door to get in was like $5 at the entry at that time, first show. But it's all about
That's
the
how
comics.
you're starting out.
Yeah. And even now, it's only $15 to get in. The booths are $150. I mean, it's pennies compared to like New York.
And that hasn't
whatnot.
like really shifted when you think about like when you started it. What was the
No,
first
it was
year?
5 years ago.
Yeah, so 5 years, and the booth cost went up like $50 in 5 years. That's not anything.
No, because it's not, for me, it's not about, I think the show is more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm lost. It's a passion.
Yeah.
Is what it is. It wasn't created as a business, believe it or not. I make money at my booth. My booth does fine.
He definitely does. I walked in and I have a stack, and it hasn't even been like a full day, so.
That's where the booth makes money, and the show is I mean, the show's profitable. It's designed to be a show for the comic collector, for the elite comic collector. There's no root beer wagon, there's no gang of pirates to meet you.
I was going to ask you
There's
about that.
There's not one Funko Pop in the room. I despise Funko Pops. There's no cosplay. You're welcome to dress up and come here, but we don't have anything for it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't dislike it. I just don't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, I don't.
Had you gone to like
anything with
other
it.
kind of cons where like you were seeing that and you didn't quite feel like that was like the thing that you were searching for?
I felt that it got in my way.
Yeah.
I went to other cons for comic books. All the other stuff got in my way. The guy with the swords, the T-shirt guy, the brownie lady, right? I mean, they're good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'll eat the brown. I'll drink the root beer, but I don't think like the root beer wagon up here in New England.
Yeah.
There's a root beer wagon at a lot of the comic shows.
Interesting.
It blows my mind. It's a good product.
But you're like the connection
But
is
they
kind
come
of.
in these silver mugs that they're sweaty, and it's just these condensating mugs of death. It's nuts.
And you're like, I do not want to touch comics.
No,
after.
they're hovering over your long boxes, dripping, and the floor is sticky. It's a mess. It belongs to the county fair.
Yeah.
So I curate this show to, like I said, people I've either done business with, have a tremendous amount of respect for, and just friends and family. There's one guy that comes, Joe, again, drawing a blank, Jim Parente.
You were telling me a little bit about him,
Great
I think,
guy.
the other.
He comes, he was the first guy to buy a booth on me. He said, I believe in you, I believe in what you're going to do, and let me be the first one. So he's the first one to believe. He's still here. And I give the vendors right of first refusal.
Okay.
So we are 84 vendors and artists on a waiting list to get a space.
Wow.
We have Metropolis. We have Golden Auctions. We have Hakes Auctions. Heritage is running around. Terry O'Neill, Superworld. Zap Comics comes from Jersey. Short Box comes from Seattle. Nerdy Girl's here with her crazy books. Superworld, like I said, is awesome. James Payette is legendary. David Adams. It's just absolute comics and statues.
It's amazing. You have like quite the lineup.
Comic Dunes is running
Comic
around.
Dunes is here.
Killer stuff.
What is something that really surprised you when you first started this, especially because you didn't really kind of know where you wanted to take it? It was like this passion project of yours. So like what has been the most surprising experience that came out of it for you?
You know, I didn't know how it would resonate within the community because most Comic-Cons are cosplay and pirates and panels and, you know, a lot of other things, again, which is great. But I was only focused in comics.
Yeah.
So when I put together the show, it's all comics. There's literally 28,000 square feet of nothing but comic books. Like Action 1, Batman 1, they're here in the room.
It's
nuts.
Historic books. You
It's
look at
nuts.
it, it's really, I've been like walking all over and it's just like book after book after book. Things I never thought I would see in my entire life in person, and being able to hold it, it's quite amazing.
But I think the most surprising thing to me is how it resonated within the community. I wasn't the only one that really liked comics that much. And that was such a pleasure to me to know that there's other people like me that really, really passionately like comic books. Enough to come to Concord, New Hampshire. Like, this is Concord, New Hampshire, which is great. Don't be wrong about Concord. But the fact that Metropolis, Hakes, Short Box, all these guys are converging on a little arena in Concord, New Hampshire. And it's just amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Well, I think because you've created such a special place here by cultivating that kind of energy and community, which I think is really amazing. Like you're saying, you really care about the books, and it shows in just like everything that you've put together, and to like really foster that. I mean, I know that you aren't the only one who's like was craving that kind of community. That's the reason I got into this community, and to come here and see everyone digging through the boxes and getting really into it and being like, oh, I need this book to fill this space in my collection. It's really awesome to see the passion exuding from like the people who are coming in. And by the way, the show hasn't even started yet, which is what is great. You have all of the vendors kind of walking around and doing deals with each other, and that's super cool to see on the kind of the back end. And it's not just like you're saying, all of these extra activities that are really fun and I think add layers to the community, but at the core of it, right, this passion for the book, this passion for the art and the artist. And I'm wondering, what do you collect? You have kind of everything, I must say, over there.
I do collect a little bit of everything.
Okay.
I just like a quality comic book. You know, I like a good story. I love great art. The covers obviously jump out at me. I have a lot in my personal collection, so now I kind of gravitate towards the eclectic, the odd.
What would you consider the eclectic and odd?
Some of the pre-code horror stuff from the 50s.
Oh, that's cool.
Late 40s, 50s through the late 50s, late 40s through the late 50s. That era is just amazing to me. The stories and the artwork on those covers.
There's so much there, so much history, which is really amazing when you start getting kind of deeper into like golden age and pre-code, like you're saying. It's really remarkable to see kind of where it started and where we're at now, which I think is really special, to kind of have these objects that we can look back and see.
Yeah, for sure. To hold it in your hand, to smell it, the real smell of a comic. You just got in. Have you smelled a comic book yet?
I have not smelled a comic book.
You gotta go pull a Golden Age book and just take a deep breath.
It's definitely going to be on my list to do.
Yeah. And you'll know what I'm talking about. It's kind of cool. You can smell it. It reminds me of the 80s with the newsprint paper, flipping through, and you know, it's just cool. It just brings you back.
I love that. So what are you most excited about for this year's Comic-Con? We have some really awesome artists that are coming in. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, we have Jim Steranko, who's amazing. We have Mike Royer, who worked with Kirby, Al Milgram, Ashley Woods, Chris Campagna, Joe St. Pierre. It's amazing, the talent in this room. It really is. And I'm just blessed to be part of it. I'm
Well, you
excited.
created it. You fostered this.
I'm
That's so
fans
amazing.
of these guys. The fact that Jim Steranko emails me on my birthday to wish me happy birthday blows me away.
That's
This is
amazing.
a guy I grew up looking and reading. I mean, I spent the afternoon at Frank Miller's house. Blows my mind. The afternoon,
What?
blows my mind. Al
That
Milgram.
has to feel so surreal.
Yeah, I went to Al Milgram's home for a certain signing with a friend of mine who's an artist, and spent the better part of 7 hours there, 8 hours at his house, and just listening to stories and looking at art, and such an amazing time.
What an amazing experience. Did you even fathom that it could even get to this point where you could be interacting with these artists?
No idea. When I was growing up reading Frank Miller and Jim Steranko, that I would be hanging out with them. Like, we have a dinner after the show tomorrow night, a private dinner with Jim Steranko. Al
get to
Milgram,
go there. I'm
Mike
so
Royer,
excited.
Keith Williams is going, and these guys, and we're just going to sit around and snack on prime rib while we listen to Jim Steranko and Al Milgram tell stories of the bullpen.
That sounds like the perfect kind of evening, but thank you so much for chatting with me and
sure.
sharing with my subscribers and followers about
Pleasure is mine.
Little Giant Comics, and thank you so much for just opening this space up to the community. It really is
For sure.
such a wonderful
Well, thank you for
thing to
coming
capture.
and sharing in my dream.
Yeah, of course.
It truly is a passion. I hope you had a good time.
Definitely. All right, bye guys.
Thanks.